Hi, this is Dawn Olszewski and welcome to another episode of How'd She Do That? And today we're going to create these adorable elf shoes. Now, you've probably seen these all over the web for the last couple of years, and in fact I was introduced to them by my friend and DOstamper star Jan Carlson 2 years ago. She made these and I fell in love with them, and they've been on my list to make, and I'm finally getting around to making one. So let's get started. To create the actual shoe shape, these are the tools that you need. We need a top note, and I have cut this in cherry cobbler cardstock, and I've already cut them in half. And you only need 1/2 to make the card. And then you'll also need 2 punches. This is a 3/4 inch punch, and this is a 1 3/8 inch punch. Now I've put little pieces on here to show you how much that we're actually just trimming out away from the top note. So I'll show you how we do that. Okay, we're going to start with our 1/2 a top note. Now this is actually going to make both the shoes. Eventually we're going to cut it in half, but for now I like to leave it whole because I think it's easier for my punching. We're going to start with the 1 3/8, and we're only going to make a 1/2 circle cut out of the top note. So here's what I like to do is I like to work with one edge at a time. We're going to come halfway in and move the punch all the way over to the edge. See that? Okay, now I'll flip it over and we'll do the same thing on the other side. And see how it's just a little easier to handle when it's what I call whole. Now what we want to do is we want to take it to our trimmer and cut this in half. I got my trimmer out here and we're going to just trim this. Now what I'm doing is I'm lining up the point here on the top note, and what I've discovered is that with these ledges here on the new trimmer on both sides of the cutting line, all I got to do is just rest it there and I get a nice straight line. And there we go. Now we're ready to we're just going to take our 3/4 inch punch and just take a little notch out of the top of these. Just like that. You can just kind of, if you look from side to side, you can see you're somewhat in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. We'll do the next one. Like I say, side to side. There we go. And we are ready to decorate these shoes. So what you're going to need for this next step is a piece of Very Vanilla, and this measures 5 by 3 3/4. And you'll need 2 pieces of Designer Series paper, and I'm using Be of Good Cheer, and that is from the annual catalog. Just take a look here. These are some of the patterns that you get with it. This is kind of fun. It matches Cherry Cobbler, Gumball Green, and Very Vanilla, and actually that's all the colors that we're using. So that is a fun holiday set. Now these measure 3/4 inch by 2 3/4 inch long. Now these are cut long on purpose. We're going to trim them off and I'll show you how we're going to do that. And then of course our 2 shoes that we just created. Now I've already gone ahead and I put a couple of dimensionals on them, and we're ready to put those on our panel here. And before I press them down exactly, I like to have them both kind of on here. There, that works. You can put them in any way you want. You can put them right next to each other or just kind of tilt it off to the side like I did. Now what we're going to do is we're going to adhere these, just kind of tuck them underneath here like that. We'll do that on both of them. Place that down. And then you can just trim them off on the back side of your panel here. I'll get my scissors and just trim these. So using mini glue dots, we're going to add some finishing touches to the card, and one is the cute little balls on his little shoes here on the top. This is champagne glimmer paper. Love it. And then it was punched with a 1/2 inch circle punch. Now I've pre-made some little bows. These bows were made with the 1/8 very vanilla taffeta ribbon. And there we go. We're going to add this cute little greeting with this banner that is cut with the Petal Cone Die. Now I use this a lot. I actually usually cut extras out of my scraps. And you can see, so I used a scrap of paper for this. It didn't come all the way to the edge, but I knew I was going to shorten up this banner. I didn't need it to be quite that long. So that's a really good tip. Just use up whatever scraps you have laying around. It doesn't have to be exactly this long. When I cut this, I think it was about 4 1/4 inches long. So I've already pre-stamped it here. You can see that I'm ready to go. But now I want to make this end look like that end. So what I do is I use one of my extra ones that I had cut, and I just use it as a template. So I'm going to just line this up on here and say, that's about where I want that flag to be. And then I can trim it and cut it to match the other end. And there you go. There's your greeting. So again, here's our card. I added it with dimensionals, the cute little greeting on here. And the layers here, so again, this was 5 by 3 3/4, and this is 5 1/8 by, let's see, 3 7/8. That's that Gumball Green, just a little peeking out there. And then of course the base is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed these cute little elf cards and have fun making some of your own. Be sure to stop by my blog at DOstampingwithDawn.com for lots of creative ideas and more inspiration. Thanks.